Overall, the main conclusion that was drawn through Chung and Fillmore's study was that women find it more difficult to integrate into their new community. They found that there are certainly clear differences by gender in accessing aspects of education, training, employment, self-reported health, budgeting, housing, and language proficiency. They also found, as it was a longitudinal study, that some gender discrepancies did not actually equalize over the course of the survey. Furthermore, they concluded that access to positive social networks plays an integral role for both genders, and that close relationships with either friends or relatives allowed for stronger development of language. They drew the conclusion that a large number of women respondents self-reported as being in bad health and found that it may be due to gender-based sexual violence as well as their language abilities. Ultimately, they stated the need for more research and policy making directed towards women refugees. The study has a few methodological limitations. Firstly, the paper acknowledges that the survey is more likely to be responded to by male refugees, and a skewed data sample can affect the data collected. Additionally, despite analysing longitudinal data, given 4 rounds of surveys were given to participants, the paper itself claims that causal inferences cannot be made. By only showing changes over a 21-month period, trends over a longer period cannot be identified, especially in regard to shifts that occur over several decades. As the study is centred in the UK, there is also a lack of comparative data from other countries. Whilst the controlled variables were measured as dichotomous outcomes for ease of analysis, only showing binaries for religion and education level may potentially hide trends. Essentially, religious values were measured as Muslim and non-Muslim, which fails to recognise how culturally varied different religious beliefs are. Non-Muslim religions were all lumped together as one. An additional limitation includes a low response rate of 70%. This could prove problematic because the true effects could be over or underestimated. Nevertheless, a strength is that they applied longitudinal ways to adjust. Furthermore, an old survey with data from 2006 and 2007 was used as a basis. This could skew results. Finally, although a variety of intersectional factors were acknowledged, even if somewhat briefly, by the study, both disability and sexuality were not formally recognised nor analysed as having a potential impact. Further studies could address these points. Overall, the research paper is a strong starting point to highlight that more inclusive policies are required for refugee integration, but improvements can still be made. More studies are still needed to expand the literature of gender, intersectionality, and refugee integration even further, as there is still a huge gap of knowledge and the complexities aren't fully understood yet. In terms of future directions, the research paper lists attention to Europe's National Refugee Integration Programme as potential focus. This would be done by comparing longitudinal surveys between countries in the EU, so then policy measures could be compared.